There's a moment you never see coming. It could be in the middle of a crowded street, or alone in your bedroom at 3 a.m. It could happen after a phone call, a sudden goodbye, or even during a quiet drive when your own thoughts turn against you. One moment, the world feels normal, and the next, it's as if something deep inside you has cracked, letting in a cold wind you can't shut out. Pain doesn't arrive with a warning label. It doesn't knock politely at the door. It breaks in like a thief in the night, rearranging the furniture of your mind, scattering the pieces of who you thought you were. And when it does, our first instinct is almost always the same. We run. We try to outpace it with work, drown it in noise, or hide it under the weight of a smile that fools everyone but ourselves. But here's the cruel trick. Pain has patience. You can ignore it for days, months, even years, but it will wait in the shadows until the world goes quiet. And then, when you least expect it, it will tap you on the shoulder and ask, "Are you ready to feel me yet?" Most of us believe the only way forward is to get over it, to box it up and shove it into a dusty corner of our minds, hoping it will fade with time. But pain doesn't dissolve in darkness. It festers there. It twists and grows roots, weaving itself into the way you speak, the choices you make, even the way you see yourself in the mirror. But what if you stop trying to kill it? What if, instead of treating pain like an enemy, you treated it like raw clay, something unshaped, unrefined, but full of potential? What if you took it into your hands and molded it into something the world has never seen before? The truth is, this isn't just poetic thinking, it's psychology. There's a process called emotional transmutation, the ability to take a feeling, grief, betrayal, loneliness, and transform it into a tangible form of expression. Not only does this give the pain somewhere to go, it changes the way your brain stores it. Memories that once felt heavy become lighter, less sharp. The story shifts. Some of the greatest works humanity has ever known were born from this process. Frida Kahlo turned her physical agony into paintings so vivid they still pull people into her world decades later. Maya Angelou took the trauma of her early life and wove it into poetry that continues to set hearts on fire. Vincent van Gogh poured his turbulent mind into colors that vibrate with emotion, each stroke a conversation with the pain he couldn't silence. And here's something you might not have realized. These works didn't come from a place of perfect healing. They were created in the middle of the storm. The artists didn't wait until they felt ready. They didn't wait until the wound closed. They worked while it was still raw, still open, still bleeding. But this isn't just for artists. You don't have to paint, sing, or write novels to transform pain. Creativity hides in unexpected corners, in the way you cook a meal that tells a story, the way you capture a fleeting moment through a camera lens, the way you rearrange a room to reflect the part of you no one sees. The first step is noticing. When pain rises, resist the urge to shove it down. Sit with it. Ask yourself, if this feeling had a color, what would it be? If it were a sound, would it be a whisper or a scream? If it had weight, could you carry it in your hands? These questions may seem strange, but they begin the process of turning something invisible into something you can work with. Then, choose your outlet. Don't aim for beauty. Don't aim for perfection. Aim for honesty. Honesty cuts deeper than flawless technique ever will. Write a sentence that scares you. Sing a note that cracks your voice. Draw a line that trembles on the page. Because when you're not performing for anyone, not even for yourself, that's when the transformation begins. And here's the rehook. You may think no one will understand, but pain, when expressed truthfully, speaks a universal language. Someone out there, maybe a stranger halfway across the world, will see your creation and think, "That's exactly how I feel, but I never knew how to say it." That connection is where the healing hides. The human brain is wired to survive, not to create. That's why when pain hits, your nervous system sounds the alarm. Heart rate spikes, breath shortens, your mind narrows its focus to the threat. This is the fight or flight reflex, and while it's great for escaping danger, It's terrible for creativity. You can't paint a sunset when your mind thinks you're being chased by wolves. But here's where the paradox begins. The very act of creative expression can turn off that survival mode. Psychologists call it entering a flow state, a mental space where your sense of time warps, distractions fade, and you're completely immersed in what you're doing. And in that state, something powerful happens. Your brain stops replaying the hurt in a loop. Instead, it starts reorganizing it, finding new patterns, and, without you even noticing, rewriting the meaning of the memory. This is why survivors of deep trauma often describe their art, music, or writing not just as hobbies, but as lifelines. They weren't escaping reality. They were building a bridge back to it. The trick is to create without expectation. When you sit down with the goal of making something good, you engage your inner critic, and that critic works for your pain. It will whisper, "Don't embarrass yourself. You're not talented enough. No one will care." But when you strip away the pressure and create simply to say something true, you starve that critic of power. And yes, it's vulnerable. Vulnerability is terrifying, but it's also magnetic. Think about the songs, the movies, the books that have stayed with you. They weren't the ones that felt polished within an inch of their lives. They were the ones that made you feel like the creator had cracked their chest open and handed you a piece of their heart. There's a part of you that may think, "But my pain isn't special. Millions of people go through worse." And you're right. Pain is universal. But your voice is not. The way you see the world through the lens of your experiences is a perspective no one else on this planet can offer. That's the gift hidden in the wound. The ability to create something no one else could, simply because no one else is you. You might wonder, what if I don't know where to start? That's where ritual comes in. Great creators often rely on ritual not for superstition, but to signal to the brain, it's time to open the door. It could be as simple as lighting a candle before you write, playing the same song before you paint, or taking a 5-minute walk before you pick up the camera. These small, repeated actions prepare your mind to step out of survival mode and into creation mode. And here's another rehook. Your pain may want to convince you that what you make doesn't matter, but history laughs at that idea. Consider Anne Frank, a young girl trapped in unimaginable circumstances, who chose to put her fear and hope into a diary. She couldn't have known her words would outlive her, shaping the way generations understand human resilience. She didn't write because she thought she would be remembered. She wrote because she had to. Every act of expression is a defiance. It's telling your pain, "You can stay, but you will not rule me." And there's something else you may not realize until you begin. The moment you take what's inside and put it into the world, it changes shape. It no longer belongs entirely to you. A painting leaves your hands and becomes someone else's story. A song you write becomes the soundtrack to a stranger's most vulnerable moment. The very thing that once made you feel isolated becomes the thread that connects you to others. This is not about romanticizing pain. Pain is not beautiful. It is heavy and unfair, and it can break you in ways no one sees. But the act of transforming it, that is beautiful. Not because it erases the hurt, but because it proves you are bigger than it. In the end, creativity is not just about making something. It's about reclaiming ownership over the narrative your pain has been trying to write for you. You take the pen back. You decide how the story is told. And maybe, just maybe, you'll look back one day and realize that the moment you thought would destroy you was the moment you began to build the truest version of yourself. If this spoke to you, subscribe so we can keep exploring how to turn pain into something powerful. Share this with someone who needs the reminder that even hurt can become art, and drop your story in the comments. You never know who it might inspire.